fancy. All right, let me close that out, and that should work pretty well. Okay. Well, Jared, thanks for even coming on the show. When I emailed you, honestly didn't even expect a response. I just figured, hey, people were saying that I should at least try and talk to you and see if we could do an interview, since we were doing interviews with other creators on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Welcome to I'll Discuss Anything, everybody. Today we've got Jared Knobbenbauer, ProJared. I think definitely not your first interview, I'm sure.
It actually might be.
Really?
Yeah, I think I've only ever done like really, really short ones for other conventions and things, and those were always just like 5 minutes or less.
What, so you've never done a sit down and actually talk about your channel interview?
No.
And like your work?
No.
Oh, man. So, well, let's hope that... Yeah, I did it. Maybe first here. Okay. Well, I sent you all the questions before we even started this thing. And so, is there any particular question that you thought was interesting that you wanted to start with first?
I was gonna let you decide. Like, whatever you're most intrigued by, we'll go that way.
Okay. Well, I guess the one that was most intriguing for me was probably like, what's the typical week for you? Somebody asked like, what do you have to do to keep your schedule? Because your schedule is pretty hectic from what I can tell. You've got gaming videos out every day.
Yes.
You stream, what is it, 4 or 3 times a week?
Yeah, so I actually had to develop something like resembling a schedule, just because I had so much going on that I didn't want to miss out on too much stuff or fall behind on things. I still feel like I'm falling behind on things. But yeah, so I do a gameplay video every single day, and I also stream 4 days a week. So usually my weeks are, I typically get up in the morning around I'll wake up like 9:30. I'll get out of bed maybe around 10:30. And then that's when I'll actually start my day.
Lucky you.
Yeah. I stream every Monday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. I used to have a 5th day in there on Wednesday, but then I started feeling burnout pretty hard, because I was basically like in performance mode 6 days a week, and that got to be a lot. So even though Tuesdays and Wednesdays I don't stream, Tuesdays are the days that I spend filming everything for ProJared Plays. And I spend 1 day getting like a whole week's worth of stuff done. So I'll record 7 gameplay videos. I'll send those off over to my editor, and then I'll also start making the thumbnails and getting the uploads and stuff ready then and there, plus catching up any other uploads that I may have been a little behind on getting the week ready. So for the most part, it's Monday stream, Tuesday record gameplay videos, with all the extra work on top of that. That usually takes me from like 1 p.m. until 9 p.m. depending.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Wednesdays and Fridays are my work on anything else days. So Wednesdays will be like usually back-end administrative stuff like emails or brand deals or business stuff, or script writing. Fridays is supposed to be my days off, but I still usually end up in front of the computer anyway, and I might just like check on something or work on a little something. But usually Fridays are supposed to be my day off. Hardly works out.
Stuck doing this? You're stuck doing this? Why didn't you tell me this was your day off?
That's how I knew I was going to be available.
Oh, that's awful. Okay.
That's fine. I was already just recording something else anyway. Don't worry.
Were you really?
Yeah, it was.
You truly are a workhorse. So when do you actually ever take time off? Are you like me and you're just one of those guys that just really doesn't?
Well, that's actually something that I've kind of had to train myself to get better at, and I've gotten better at just having evenings off. So if I stream, 12 to 6 on Thursday or something, I usually stop around there because that's when I start to get hungry, and I'll get dinner. And afterwards, I'll usually be able to like just sit on the couch, put something mindless on the TV while I like play games or do anything else to just kind of like relax the voice, relax the brain for a bit. Or even if I just sit down and play games just for me or talk to other people on Discord. So I do at least somehow manage so that my evenings has some relaxation in there, even if it's just like a couple hours before bed. I'm not just going from like working up until right before I go to sleep. Like I don't want to do that. I always have at least a couple of hours of wind down of some sort.
Yeah, that was another one of the questions. Was what do you do to unwind?
Usually play Magic the Gathering.
Oh, me too, man.
Which that's actually what I spend every Monday on, is just streaming Magic. But then
are you playing Arena?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Me too, man. Me too. Yeah. I did a video on it, me saying like this has literally become like what I do to unwind.
Oh yeah, especially now that it's on mobile, I'll be able to like just do drafts or whatever on my phone. Albeit poorly because the mobile interface isn't great, but
it's
I can
garbage.
at least do some Magic, or even just during the day. Like I'll get something done on my off day, and it's like 2:30, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna throw up a Rita, listen to a podcast, and just chill with that for a bit.
Yeah.
So even though like I stream that every Monday for 6 hours, I still like playing it on my off times as well. Besides from that, other relaxation stuff. Usually, I'm playing a lot of Valheim recently. That's been like one of my personal like off-stream games for me and my friends have been enjoying.
Do you like it?
Oh yeah, really liking that one. Stardew Valley is also just like another good relaxation farm one, especially that they got the newest update on the Switch. I'll just play it that way.
I still haven't played Stardew Valley in any multiplayer sense, and I've heard that that's probably one of the more calming ways to play it. I just can't. Sure. I don't know what it is about Stardew Valley. I love Harvest Moon. I love several other farming games, and those classic ones have something special for me, especially like the GameCube era. But I don't know exactly what it is about Stardew Valley that I just can't bring myself to play. I think I've played like 5 hours of Stardew Valley, man. I have not put any time into it.
Go for it. You'll love it. Trust me, my dude. Like it'll be great.
So who are you playing like Valheim with? You have anything you want to plug?
No, it's just with my personal friends, like the same best friends I've had since middle school.
You have personal friends? My God, lucky you.
I know.
Man.
Yeah, it's not always collab stuff with other YouTubers. Although if I do other stuff with YouTubers right now, it's a lot of Among Us.
Really?
Yeah, like we have our own like Among Us server, and usually people will just like throw up, hey, let's play Among Us right now, even if it's like 11 p.m. at night. Usually Shane from Did You Know Gaming. He's like the first person to be like, let's play Among Us right now. Let's go.
Really?
Yeah, he loves it. Like, he's the first person to always want to get that going and try to get other people to join it.
My like inclination, like I own Among Us, right? I've played it on stream. I've done a couple of things of Among Us, but when my niece started coming over to my house more often, I realized that that's like all she does is either play Among Us or watch people play Among Us. So I kind of feel bad. I don't know. I'm a 30-year-old man, sitting here playing the same thing that my 9-year-old niece is, and my wife has no idea what's going on. But it does give me the bonus of when we're going through the Burger King parking lot, I can say that something is sus.
Yep.
And then my wife will be like, "What are you talking about?" And I'll just look at my niece and be like, my wife's named Kira. I'll just be like, Kira's going Vince. I just saw her come out of Vince. And my niece thinks it's hilarious, but of course I feel like an actual man-child for even doing that.
My the same best friend that I would play Valheim with was telling me about how he'd be playing like Apex Legends or something with his nephew.
Yeah.
And just playing with them, like his nephew would be like, "Oh, we can go over there, but that building looks pretty sus." And he's like, and my best friend would be like, "What the fuck did you just say to me?" And I had to explain to him where sus came from and how it's just like a thing because no one knows how to spell suspicious.
Yeah. Dude, did you notice? Did you see that like really famous tweet? It was probably like last week where somebody like made call outs for chess. Like they just made like CS:GO. They took CS:GO call outs.
No, I haven't.
It was hilarious. Like opening with a knight was called banana, and I was like, God, I can see myself like actually doing that from now on because it's like that hooked angle. And I was like, I'm gonna keep that in my head. I'm gonna actually be like, I don't know. And like if white goes with one of the mid pawns and it was like double white doors. I don't remember. That shit was hilarious. I don't know why.
I've not seen that. That's funny.
Yeah. So you've gone away from Monster Hunter though. Like you've done tons of Monster Hunter stuff, and then it feels like did you play World a bunch when it came out? Because I know before when Try was out, you were doing so much Monster Hunter.
Yes.
And that was your big thing. Like now, you're doing all these other things, but why the fall off with Monster Hunter?
I haven't stopped playing Monster Hunter. For the record, like I actually still keep up with the series. I still play the new ones. I still play them quite a bit. But yeah, there was like this is reaching 10 years ago where I kind of got to be known or seen as the quote unquote Monster Hunter guy.
Yeah.
But my goal was never to be like a Monster Hunter channel. Like I like doing the new beginner's guide. I like people bring attention to it, to something that I just love and have enjoyed for decades now. But then it very quickly became clear to me that there are so many other YouTube channels out there that are dedicated solely to Monster Hunter, and they just do a better job than me.
Yeah, but you love it so much. Why not do it anyways?
Like I'll still talk about it, but like I don't feel like I don't like doing something that someone else has already done, or if I don't feel like I could provide something new or something different or something better. And with YouTube channels out there like Eric's, who I actually got to meet at E3 once because we were at the Capcom booth, well, like channels like that out there, like they're crushing it. Like if anyone needs any kind of Monster Hunter information or anything, they can go over there. Like absolutely. I still play Monster Hunter. I'll stream it whenever it comes out. I'll do gameplay videos of it. I'll probably review or talk about whatever the new games are. Absolutely. But like the kind of like dedicated videos or edited videos to it, it doesn't feel needed anymore because so many other people are just out there and like that's their drive and that's their purpose. Like I'm kind of glad. Yeah, I'm kind of glad like I was able to open the door for a lot of people to get into the series. But if they like want to dive into the deep end, I just feel like there are better options out there than me.
You're gonna hate this. I told you, I think, in the email that I'd been keeping up with your stuff for a couple of years, and it's true. I've probably kept up with your stuff for probably a decade. I've known about you since college, but you definitely introduced me to Monster Hunter as a person who never was interested in it, and I watched you play Try, and I was like, I'm not gonna play Monster Hunter on a mobile system. And then when World came out, you obviously showed me that. And then I was like, well, I might actually get into that. So I did. And I played World endlessly, like, when it came out. So much. It was all I did for weeks. And I gotta say, I'm honestly surprised you didn't do more with World, considering how grandiose it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's also something I struggle with that personally, is like, it also starts getting to be stressful for me because, especially with anything with YouTube, you kind of get that feeling of like there being a rat race,
Yeah.
Gotta be the first one to take on this monster, the first one to take this down, or look how big or cool I am. And like, I just kind of had to admit to myself, especially as I was trying to cover or talk about so many other things, there's just no way for me to keep up.
So that's why there was never a ProJared episode on Monster Hunter?
On the new ones, right. If I were ever to do a ProJared video, which I've actually been planning for some time now, I'd just go back and do the original one on PlayStation 2 and talk about that.
That'd be a wonderful idea.
But for like all the new ones, like I don't feel like I can't keep up. I don't have that drive. Like I don't want to go crazy. Like I don't want to have Monster Hunter comes out and then 2 days later be like, here's a review for it. It's like,
oh my god,
there's no way. Like there's no freaking way. Like that doesn't feel right. I would drive myself insane, and I can't really do that. So I keep playing Monster Hunter because I enjoy it and I want to keep it in a zone that it's something like I still enjoy playing. And if I try to like make it into content or what have you, I feel like that joy is going to be sucked out of it, and they'll want to not play Monster Hunter, and I don't want that.
It's going to be work. It's going to become work.
Absolutely.
Have you played Omori yet?
No.
First off, 100% recommended. I did a video on it. If anybody cares about my views on that, I'm sure they've probably seen it. I'm pretty sure that's my most viewed video now. But Omori was a fantastic game. I loved it. I
actually looked at that back when it came out in December, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at it and I was like, oh, this actually looks really cool. And I actually looked at like the general time to beat. And I was like, I don't have time for that. Damn.
Dude, that's why I'm bringing it up. So when Omori came out, I played and beat Omori in 3 days.
Wow.
And like I rushed through it. Like I didn't enjoy myself. I enjoyed the game for what it was, but I did what you're talking about with Monster Hunter. I played it, beat it in 3 days, and then released a review in 2. And I have never wanted to die more than that moment. I have never been so burnt out. I was so fucking tired.
Yeah. I
was so exhausted.
I still do everything myself, so that I can't just be a one-man production team, just churn stuff out like that. Like that, it's just so exhausting to do anything like that. So yeah, I absolutely feel ya on that, trying to get that out as fast as possible to hit that, that YouTube optimization and search engine and analytics, blah 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 blah. It's like I can't do it anymore.
I somehow managed to be one of the first 3 people to review it, but that was the only thing I ended up doing. Speaking of the making your own stuff, recording your own stuff, editing your own stuff, how long does it take to make those ProJared episodes?
Too long.
Too long.
It really depends on the subject matter.
Yeah.
For the most part, what's taking the most time is just playing the damn game. Because right now, my big thing is I'm trying to go through every single Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
And the fact that I need to play all these games from start to finish, and they're all roughly 40-hour games, that takes a long time. And then there's a lot to talk about. So then the scripting process also takes me longer than I would like, because I try to be very, very careful with my words and also make sure I don't leave anything out that I really want to talk about.
So you're making sure that you have not only are you making sure that you're playing absolutely everything, doing absolutely everything. I mean, what are you going to do when you get to 10, man? Are you going to do the monster rally, or what is that called? Monster arena for 10?
I mean, I'm not trying to recomplete the game. I'm not going to sit there and dodge 200 lightning bolts or anything like that.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to mention that, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Doesn't mean I got to finish it.
True. I that just sounds like punishment on yourself for something
it does.
10 or yeah.
I mean, so at some point, I just have to cut myself off and be like, no, you have to be done here, otherwise you'll go insane.
Yeah.
So the scripting process alone, I try to take a lot of time on, choose my words carefully, have things flow really, really matters to me. The flow of discussion when it comes to this matters a lot. And I've seen it in other videos before where it's there's no transition from one thought to another. It's very, very jarring, and it's always really noticeable to me. So because of that, if I'm stuck on a section of a script or something, I won't let myself move on until I'm done with that section, to make sure I keep that flow and that thought process as smooth as possible, so that as I'm saying it, the listener/viewer can keep up.
That's a very difficult thing to do, man.
With these long ass games, especially when they want to talk about their plots, it becomes a lot. So I would say the scripting process is the most difficult part for me, because that's the foundation of the whole video. I don't want to make that lacking, or I don't want to just throw out a rough draft, just be good enough,
of course,
and then just churn it out, like I said earlier. So
I've literally done that before. I understand
I've been there.
I think
too.
we all have. I think we all have put out something subpar
just to get done.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing that you've put out so far? Just speaking of those videos.
Hard to say. I think my personal favorite / best ones is Final Fantasy VI video, Chrono Trigger video, and Sonic Adventure 2.
Oh, I forgot you did Chrono Trigger.
I
don't Sonic Adventure 2, by the way, is an amazing game, Jared, please.
It is not. There are parts of it that are amazing, yes.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, those were videos, kind of like I said earlier, kind of in relation to like the Monster Hunter stuff.
Yeah.
Those, like, people have talked about those to death.
Yeah.
Like by then, like, that was not like a fresh subject or a new subject. But those were games that I personally felt I was bringing a new thought to, or a different perspective, or an aspect that people had not considered or seen before. And that's why I made those videos.
What about the scripting for those? Were they as hard as all the rest of them, now that you thought that you had like since you thought that you had like a general thing to say that was different from what other people had said?
Oh no, Sonic Adventure 2 is so easy.
Was it? Really?
Sonic fun, Shadow fun, rest bad. Done.
Yeah, it's true. I can't believe you don't like the Knuckles and the Eggman stages, man.
Like,
come on.
Some of the Knuckles ones are okay. Like I said, I will literally die on Pumpkin Hill. I don't care.
Yeah.
But like, they just get like bad later on as soon as you're in like the Space Moon or whatever, especially the Rouge ones.
The Space Colony arc, dude.
Yeah, those ones. I'm just like, ugh,
yeah.
Kill me with like the weird gravity and whatnot.
I did those on stream, and I was just continuously dying.
I was watching other people do it on stream once, and I was like, all right, good. It's not just me.
No, it's the most frustrating part of that game, easily. Especially the tail stages where you have no control.
Mm-hmm. The Chrono Trigger video was actually kind of an interesting one on how that came to be, because it was not a video I had planned on doing at all. What happened was, this is when I was living in Texas. There was some storm or something that was really bad that just knocked out my internet for like 2.5 days. So I just like couldn't do anything, and I forgot what it was I was working on, or some other video or whatever it was. I couldn't actually work on it because I did not have internet access to get what I needed to do it. So I had to do something to pass my time. So I just sat down and played Chrono Trigger. And this is the first time I had played Chrono Trigger in probably like 15 years at least. And after playing through it just on my own, I was like, holy crap, like, look at all these brilliant things that they did. Look how like smart things that they did. This is amazing. I didn't record any of this. So I had to go, I beat the game, loved it, and then realized I gotta talk about this because I've just had all these like almost epiphanies about the game. So after beating it, I moved all my equipment over to actually record it and started over from the beginning and played through it again right away. Yeah, I was not recording when I was playing it. That was just for me. But like afterwards, I was like, holy crap. So then I had to play through it again and actually record it to show off like the very specific things that I wanted to show, and like how it was more brilliant than I ever realized or gave it credit for.
Really? You didn't? Yeah. So you weren't like a huge, as the children say, a stan. You weren't a huge Chrono Trigger stan. I was like, oh yeah, Chrono Trigger, easily one of the best RPGs on the Super Nintendo, but like, I never could really vocalize why. Really?
And then was like, when I played it again, like, it was all the very finer details that became very apparent to me. That's when I was like, okay, yeah, this is why the game's amazing. Not just because the soundtrack is good and like I like doing the double text or whatever. It's all the stuff around that.
What did you end up giving it? I don't even remember.
It was a broken clock out of 10 because it was endless.
There you go. Okay, I gave it a 10. I use actual numbers, but I ended up giving it a 10
use metaphors,
myself.
And then no one understands the metaphor at the end.
Didn't you say that you were stopping doing that or something?
Yes.
Yeah. Why did you stop doing those?
Because people didn't understand it and they clicked away from the video.
Really? For God's sakes.
Well, that's just like a YouTube thing. Once people can like tell or feel a video is ending, they just click away. And it's just a known thing. So I did all these metaphors, which I thought like there's a better way to describe a game. Whereas like this game is like this. And I thought that was really, really apparent. And then I would describe how it's like that metaphor. But just based on the comments or what people would say to me on Twitter or in person when I'm at conventions or whatever, I kind of realized a lot of people just didn't really get it. They just kind of saw it as like a joke and not really understood or comprehended the metaphor behind it. And that's my own fault for kind of doing like a kind of confusing gag that I thought maybe I could just kind of continue like, haha, this is my thing. And then I realized I was just ended up being more not harmful, but just not as productive as I would like. So I just ended up taking the metaphor away just to kind of give the game a better summation that people can listen to with less metaphors, just more direct language. And then hopefully that way people don't get that feel like a video ending and click away after they feel like they've obtained the knowledge that they needed.
I don't know, man. Personally, I think I have to disagree with you on a personal level because of you're getting this feeling from people that you meet at cons or looking at comments or looking at your analytics, but there's plenty of people that do get it. I mean, you remember that Monster Hunter video, the new one that you put out not too long ago on your gameplay channel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember the guy who was just being an absolute ass in the comments?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're listening to that guy. You realize that, right? You're listening to that guy talk about, your metaphor doesn't make sense. When it totally makes sense. He's just an asshole.
That's fair. But I don't know. I still feel like I also personally like on a personal level with like the whole blank out of 10. It also makes it a little bit easier for me to write because then I don't have to find some way to like get that joke in there and then somehow come up with like a new or a different metaphor, or at some point like I run out of escalation for that joke.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, God, I can't imagine if I had to do that every single video. I'd probably drive myself insane trying to come up with metaphors.
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple of where I was just like, I don't know what to do here.
Did you have anything that you scrapped because of that?
Metaphor-wise?
Yeah, like scrapped metaphors.
Probably. I couldn't tell you what.
Do you have any scrapped videos, like entire videos?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Can I ask for what? Let me see what one of them is. Can I ask?
Yeah. What was my first one that I was working on? Oh no, one of my first scrapped videos ever was like the very first Game Awards.
The what? Really?
Yeah, like Jeff Keighley's The Game Awards back when they're like
yeah.
Spike TV's Game Awards or whatever, and it was abysmal. Just atrocious. just like the stupidest thing in the world. So I was going to do a video where it's kind of talked about it and how it just kind of failed as a concept.
Yeah.
I ended up scrapping it because it ended up being really, really... It was just mean-spirited, negative, and hateful, one.
Really?
Two, like, getting the footage for it was also kind of a pain. And, like, putting it together and writing it in such a way that it was, yeah, again, like it's kind of like more fun to more fun video to watch.
Yeah,
I couldn't quite get it. It was just kind of like mean, and like I didn't want to make a mean video. Like I would poke fun at it for sure. I didn't want to put out a mean video. So
yeah, even if that doesn't like that just straight up doesn't fit with the rest of your brand, really. Yeah, so being mean would come out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's one that I absolutely scrapped. I lost, on accident, 2 collab videos with PBG.
Oh, no.
Which was a bummer. Yeah, he came over, and we recorded gameplay, or video games, for 2 videos. One for myself, and one for his channel. And he actually ended up doing it anyway on his own. It was Defenders of the Crown on his Peanut Butter Gamer channel. He ended up just doing it on his own, but this was like years later. But eventually, like, we recorded that together because we're gonna do like a collab video, and then for my channel, we recorded Toe Jam and Earl on Sega Genesis.
Oh, you've got a Toe Jam and Earl that you lost. That sucks.
Yes, and it's because I don't know what happened. I must have pressed the wrong button, but I just lost/deleted all the footage that we recorded.
You could legitimately go back and do that now. That's still like a timeless game.
Oh yeah, I mean I still want to. Don't get me wrong. It's been on my list, but that was one where it's just like, I don't know how I screwed this up. I'm sorry, man. Like I also had to tell him because I recorded all the footage for him, and I was going to send him all the Defender of the Crown stuff over the internet. And I was just like, hey, dude, I lost it. I don't know where it is.
That hurts.
I think
that really hurts.
There was like a compilation of me and him from that stream a long time ago. I have no idea if it's still available on. It might have just been on Twitch or YouTube. Maybe it's still on YouTube. I don't remember. But like, there is evidence of that stream. Like, it did happen. We did record. I just screwed up. Like, that was purely on me.
Oh, dude, that's the worst feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that you had a list of
Yes.
Do you specifically have a list for ProJared episodes and then a list for ProJared plays and all of that stuff?
Just a list for like ProJared. And it's a list that I wrote in like 2015 on paper that I still have of just a huge list of video ideas that I think could be fun or interesting to talk about. I think I've maybe covered like 3 out of the like 80 games on there.
Really?
Usually because I end up having like some other idea and I end up going with that instead of like this list of things I have. They're like all evergreen concepts, not ones I'm like trying to do or get to as fast as possible. It's just like
Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, it's like hold on. I think I got it. Yeah. It's like what did I write down? Like Alone in the Dark.
Oh. Yeah.
Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero. Final Fantasy Spirits Within.
Spirits Within. You did Spirits Within, didn't you?
Yeah, I talked about the movie.
Yeah, I remember that. What
a
fucking fucking weird movie.
Oh yeah.
How old were you when that came out? We're around the same age.
I
think I was
maybe
10?
13.
Yeah, I'm like I think I was 10, 11
when that
came
like 13,
out.
14, yeah.
I did not understand that movie when it came out, man. I remember as a child, I had no idea.
I'm a grown-ass adult, and I don't even fully understand the movie.
that's
and I watched it multiple times.
I need to rewatch that. I should rewatch that on Twitch or something, like for the fans. I think people would enjoy that.
That's a good idea.
Have you, one of the other questions that we had specifically was a studio tour. We get studio tours from all sorts of people who are creators online, and somebody said that they always love seeing somebody's setup. Would you want to do a studio tour, like maybe sometime in the future?
I would love to once I feel I have a studio that's worth showing off.
Really?
Yeah, I don't really have a setup right now where I'm like, hell yeah, check this out, isn't this rad?
You got one LED light that changes color.
I do have that. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, you could show that off, dude. That's easily what, $20 on Amazon?
I don't remember how much, but yeah, like I don't really have like a setup right now where I would feel comfortable of like doing like a huge room tour or anything like
You're more of a private guy anyways.
I try to be. Like, I'm not saying like no, never, but I mean, maybe it's something I would do at some point to kind of give like some behind the scenes look.
Yeah.
But I just don't have that set up right now that I want to do that.
I've always imagined your studio as like basically just a very small room or something, and then you've just cornered out a very small room with soundproofing and stuff.
You are more accurate than you realize.
Yeah, I because it seems like you don't have much room in that space. I've seen you doing streams or videos or whatever it is that you're doing, and then somebody will hand you something and it seems they're so close to the table. I'm like, there must not be much room like directly to his right.
There's not a whole lot going on, and that's another reason like I don't really want to show that off. It'd be like, hey man, show off your car, and you have like a 1996 like Ford Taurus that's with like the muffler dragging across the ground. You're like, I don't want.
No, dude, no, you should do that. That would be really funny though. That would be a good comedy bit.
It would
just
be
show off if you could spin that to where you do like a Cribs type thing.
All right, yeah, I take it back. I would do that video. Yeah,
you should do that. You should do that. Let's see, what else have we got? You know what? Let's change like the subject away from work and into just some other stuff that people just wanted to know about you. Like, what's your favorite anime series?
I ain't no weeb.
Oh, you sure are.
Okay,
you
fine.
Sure are.
It's I go back and forth what my absolute favorite is. Ones that I am just like a general fan of. I really, really like Record of Lotus War.
I've still never seen it.
Oh, it's so good. There's
Is
like
it?
a new game coming out for it on Steam, and I've been playing the beta of that, and like it's actually really good. Like, it's literally just a late '80s anime where a bunch of Japanese dudes were playing Dungeons and Dragons and just said, "Let's make this an anime," so they did.
Okay. All right, I'm watching that. All right.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And then,
is it an isekai, or is it just like they were playing?
Oh no! It's just like in the world, not an isekai.
Okay. So they just made their campaign into an anime.
Straight up.
Oh my god. Okay.
And then in like the same shared universe slash creator, one of my also like favorite animes is a mid 2000s one called Louis the Rune Soldier, or just Rune Soldier.
I'm familiar with Rune Soldier, but I've never
Yeah,
seen it.
same thing. Hilarious. That's one of the few animes where I'm actually like, watch the English dub. They're so good.
Is it actually good or is it funny?
Oh no, it's like actually good. It's a funny anime on its own, but the voice actor for Louis just does an incredible job. It's the same dude who does the English voice for Lord Beerus in Dragon Ball Super.
Really?
He just such a funny job as Louis. It's a very funny series, but it's like the same kind of like Lotus War, high fantasy. We're adventurers, but uh, Louis, the Rune Soldier himself, is like the party magician who has a strength of 19.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
So it's Muscle Wizard.
Yeah, so he
Yeah.
like doesn't understand the concept of magic. Like the first time he goes to cast a spell, he just beats someone with his wand. It's stuff like that. Very funny.
That actually sounds hilarious. I'd love to see
yeah.
that.
Other than that, I also like some of the old staples, Cowboy Bebop,
Sailor Moon, obviously.
Sailor Moon, Tenchi Muyo, Berserk, the original animated.
The one
Berserk.
by Madhouse.
Yeah, that's another like English voice cast I really like.
Yeah, that one's fantastic, dude.
Yeah.
That's definitely up in my top 10. Madhouse, you really can't go wrong with Madhouse animating something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but other than that, like I don't really keep up with current animes by any means. Like when I try to find something to watch, my concept isn't just throw on Crunchyroll and watch whatever anime pops up as something new. I typically don't do that. So all the animes I like are just older ones.
I review several anime shows on my channel, and I try to watch like newer things or whatever is actually important at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just usually ends up being mediocre, or like sometimes in the case of like Redo of Healer, it's just absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And I've really got to start going back and watching some older shows and reviewing older shows, maybe just for some stuff that's like higher quality.
Yeah.
Somebody else on here actually had a question that I thought was pretty interesting. Was if you could start your YouTube and Twitch career over and do a sort of New Game Plus where you keep your subscribers, would you do anything differently? Keep or remove any tropes?
Oh, jeez.
That's kind of out there, isn't it? I thought that was an interesting thing, though.
Yeah. Things I would kind of redo.
Yeah.
I don't think I would. I don't know if I would personally keep the whole like blue shirt thing I got going on.
That was only because of work, right?
I think I would change that. No, it was because I had a concept with that. It was one, the blue popped out the best against the red wall background that I happened to have at the time when I started.
Mm.
So, and that's also like kind of tied into all of my branding now. That's why I've got like the red on top with like the blue line underneath, because that's representing like the blue shirt with the red wall background.
Yeah.
And I also did that because I thought this is YouTube over a decade ago. The concept was like I thought like people kind of like the idea of whoever's on camera being like a sort of character or like a cartoon character, where like whenever time they're on screen they're always wearing the same thing.
An AVGN type thing.
Yeah, like that, or that like makes them like more recognizable, or like kind of helps identify that character. And I didn't really have a whole lot going on except for like this blue button-up shirt that just in all my camera tests just looked the nicest. It's also, I think in one of the videos I was actually wearing different colored shirts because I tried them and I didn't like it as much, so I ended up just sticking with the blue. Yeah, I think I'm wearing like all black in the Connect video.
Like, did you have any other tropes that like you would want to replace the blue shirt with?
Not really. Like, I guess if I could, I would change it so that it was just me and not this like quote unquote ProJared persona. Even though it's not really a persona, it's just me.
Well, I mean, you've definitely got a persona in definitely the earlier videos. Stuff that's like a decade old, you can tell that you're definitely doing a persona, and you were obviously heavily inspired by Angry Joe, AVGN, a lot of the earlier guys. I guess Angry Joe doesn't really count, but you were also friends with John Jafari,
Yeah.
and he has very much of like a character
Well,
on his
it's
show
a lot.
too.
Yeah, a lot of times it's just like whatever our persona is, like just kind of cranked up.
Yeah,
And that's kind of what mine was at the start. Like anything I was saying is like what I truly felt. I wasn't like trying to like just make stuff up for the sake of a video or a joke, but it
yeah,
was like that personality just kind of cranked up to be a little bit more. I don't know, try uh, eye catching or whatever. But that's also was like a necessary evil of YouTube of the times. But I
oh,
guess
I'm sure.
if I could just like get those subscribers, I'd almost like kind of nix that and just like do away with that kind of forced personality. Like, hey man, it's just me. Let me talk about this. You're welcome to listen if you want to.
Yeah, you've really, and I mean this is obviously no insult to you, but you've really mellowed out as far as your videos go. You're definitely
Yeah,
far more down to earth with your more recent works.
that's also something I've kind of started doing. It's also why I've made my videos pretty much ostensibly less funny because I
Hmm.
didn't feel like I need to force that in there at any point.
I think
Early
you're
on,
right.
like when you're first starting on, like if you want people to like stick around or watch your stuff, like if you're not making them laugh, like people aren't going to stick around.
It's
And
true.
that's kind of going back a little bit to the script writing conversation. That's another part where I actually really struggle with the script, where I feel like if there aren't enough jokes per minute, the script doesn't work and people won't watch.
I definitely had that.
Yeah, that's something I've kind of had like concessions on, where I'm like, you know what, it just doesn't need the jokes. Like I could just talk about it, and if the concept or topic is interesting, people will still at least watch that. But yeah, that's with my more current videos. I feel less obligated to kind of force that jokiness or anger or whatever. I'm more comfortable just being able trying to talk about whatever it is I want to talk about.
Well, you've changed your brand slightly recently anyways, but we'll get to that later since somebody asked like a very close question to the one that I just asked. Somebody
Sure.
asked if you didn't have a fan base if you didn't have the fan base that you have now, would you make any drastic changes to your channel? As in, would your channel still be what it is right now without its viewers?
I don't know if I could do anything else.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it would just be like, oh yeah, just do whatever other YouTubers doing just to get them clicks.
Yeah.
And like I can't like really force myself to do that.
You wouldn't
Um,
do, for instance, I guess that what they're asking is, would you do anything um, like VODs, like live stream VODs or anything like that, where it's like, hey, it's me, Jared, go into the post office or whatever the hell.
I don't know. Uh, yeah, I don't know if I would do as much IRL stuff like that. I mean, something I do like to do a lot on my Instagram that maybe I could consider translating over into like a YouTube video is I actually really like doing fashion stuff. I
Yeah,
really like trying to find like interesting clothing and like interesting outfits and designs and like piece them together and show them off. I don't know if I
yeah,
could ever like that kind of video would not fit my channel.
yeah,
And if I and
yeah,
it,
it's true.
that would not fit my channel. And if I could, I guess I would do something like that a little bit differently. I don't really consider myself to be so proficient in that or so deep in that world. I can make that like my sole singular thing. But that's something I would consider doing a little bit differently is yeah, I guess something like that. I think that answers the questions. I'm not super sure.
Yeah,
But
that answers the question.
yeah, that I guess that's one of the concepts.
As like a homosexual and as a metrosexual myself, I think I would like that. I think that would be a really interesting direction for you to go through.
Yeah,
Just
one of
hey,
my
check out this weird shit I found.
yeah, my plan was always just to more or less the driving message was always stop dressing like a gamer.
Yeah.
You know, khaki shorts, graphic T-shirt of whatever brand or video game that you like. That's it. It's like, no, come on, we can try a little harder here. Let me show you something.
Yeah, you could you know what you could do? You could branch out in the way that Ian has.
Yeah,
Yeah, you could do something like that even in the room that you do the Pro Jared stuff in, but with just a different mood lighting. Ian's been
yeah,
messing around with using blues and purples and stuff to really give mood to his videos for the cinematography. And that I mean that
yeah.
guy is obviously obsessed with cinematography, but The you could do something like that, man. I say go for it.
Maybe I
I'd
still
watch
will.
it.
Like I still have that concept, but that'd be one of the main things I would do differently if I just had like a major reset button, but I wasn't allowed to do the same thing again.
Yeah, I'd watch it though, man. I'd seriously keep that in your hat. Um,
Thank you.
what is your opinion on doing stuff like that, doing those pre-recorded videos versus streaming? And do you think that YouTube is going more towards? Do you think that YouTube is going to end up being mostly a live platform after a while as well? Do you think that streaming's just taking over?
I don't think it will. I don't think it will. It's a completely different beast. Because when you're on Twitch or streaming on YouTube or streaming wherever really, that live performance is very different than any kind of scripted video or even unscripted but edited video. It's just completely different. Like
It's true.
like if you're on Twitch and you're just streaming, getting subscriptions or donations or whatever, it's the same as busking, just being out on the street playing a guitar for anyone who is willing to watch or listen, and if they like it, they'll throw like $1 your way or something.
Can you play guitar?
I don't.
Have you ever been busking?
I have not. No.
It sucks.
But same thing, like that kind of concept of like performance.
Yeah.
That versus like me scripting a YouTube video that has a very clear, direct, concise message I'm trying to convey is very different. And I do think a lot more people go to YouTube because they want that more edited, even pseudo-scripted kind of feel with their video, rather than like the stream of consciousness, sometimes truncated or unconnected thought process that can come from streams. Like if they want to show up and like, I just want this concept. Like you can't go to Twitch and be like, I want to listen to this concept or idea right now. You can't really do that. It's always a subject. Like whatever game they're playing, I'm like, oh, our podcast is generally about this or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, if I just put a YouTube video that was again like, here's this like things you can do for like better fashions or whatever, 10 tips. You can't really do that on Twitch or on or YouTube streams.
Can you, as far as the business side of ProJared, are you leaning more towards streaming these days?
I do it enough because it frankly, with how much of a hot garbage pile YouTube is, Twitch is a better support than that.
Yep.
But I prefer doing the YouTube stuff just because, like I said, there is like a better message there and a concept. But for the most part, if I can, I'll actually use Twitch to show myself working on my YouTube stuff.
I've seen you do that. Do you?
Yeah.
I've thought about doing that myself. Does that work out well? I feel like
it can.
Yeah. I feel like you're just like ruining a joke or something. Like people are gonna see that joke, and then you're gonna be like, well, nobody really cares.
That's what I struggled with a lot because I don't want to like. I want to show how the sausage is made, and be like, it's like, haha, isn't this funny? Now watch it. Four times as I like put the same joke together. And it's a double-edged sword, to be honest, because on one hand you kind of get that immediate feedback. On the other hand, a lot of people never really realize how repetitive editing can be. We're just editing the same 12 seconds over and over again.
I'm having Vietnam flashbacks, man.
Yeah, and like people in chat would be like, can we move on? Or think they're funny if like they're also quoting like the same phrase I'm saying over and over again as I edit it. It's like, yeah, very funny. Like this is just how it goes. And another thing I struggle with is when like I'm creating this thing and someone wants to add in their idea or their concept or like, oh, you should do this joke or this reference. It's like, thank you. This is not your video though.
Yeah.
Like this, I know you're trying to help and like you think this is a good idea. That's fine. But like this is something I'm working on and I'm creating.
Do you have a lot of? You seem to have a lot of people like that want to tell you how to do your job. I've noticed that just while I've been following you.
It happens, but I don't think it's fair to say it's a lot of people or the majority of people. They show up for sure, but I don't think it's fair to say that's a majority of people because there's a lot of people who are just actually really chill and really cool and really supportive.
Yeah, perhaps it's just noticeable is what I mean. I've
Yeah.
noticed it. I've seen it.
Like you said earlier, like it stands out. Like, if I'm streaming myself editing and like that one comment will stand out. So like, come on, man, just let me do my thing here.
How do you get over stuff like that?
I just gotta like let it go. Like as long as you like don't take it to heart, you just gotta like it. All right, the moment's passed. We're moved on. I'm still doing my thing.
I see what you mean.
That probably comes from having worked in retail for way too long of my life, and I just kind of got more used to dealing with like people or customers in that sense.
Oh, that's right. You and I both worked the same job, didn't we? You worked at GameStop, didn't you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's like the worst place in the world, man.
It sure is.
It sure is. That is legitimately the worst job I've ever had.
Yeah.
I've worked in factories that I liked more than GameStop.
I like last week, I forgot what happened, but like I got a scam likely phone call at like 7:30 in the morning or something like that. I was so like cantankerous about it. I was like, ugh, I'm awake at 7:30. And that like set my brain back where I was like, hey, remember when you had to wake up at 7:30 to get to your job at GameStop at 9 a.m.? I was like, oh no. Oh no, go back to sleep now, brain. We're going back to sleep.
You're actually yet again Vietnam flashbacks, my man. What was your least favorite part? What was your least favorite part about working at GameStop?
Least favorite?
Yeah.
Geez. I mean, when I worked there, the corporate actions were particularly intense, which is amazing because from what I hear, I got out before it got really bad.
Exactly.
But but like, the whole like, you needed 11% reserve rate every week or a 14% sub rate every week. Or like, make sure you're hitting these numbers, like, push your used sales over your new one and blah, 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 blah. That's like, I hate that. Like, just people coming in and like trading in their games and taking care of the games or talking about them or like putting up the like Sunday signage or whatever. I was cool with all of that. I enjoyed doing all that. But it was like the corporate pushing of like the sales stuff that was pretty soul crushing. Outside of terrible customers.
Yeah, terrible customers, definitely. But that was probably that was what I was gonna bring up. I think that was my least favorite part. You get like 7-year-olds who will ruin your rack of purely perfectly alphabetized PS3 used games, and then some 7-year-old will come in and just ruin them, man.
Oh yeah.
And then it's another 3 hours of doing that.
Or the guy who shows up to shop at 8:58 p.m. when he closes at 9.
That guy might be me. That guy might be me.
It's like, hey, just so you know, we're closing up in 2 minutes. Like, oh, okay. And then it's like 9:14, and he's still just looking at like used Game Boy Advance games or something. You're just like, dude, come on. And because he's still in there, other customers drive up and be like, oh, there's a customer in there. They're open. And then they walk in, and you gotta tell them they're not open, but then they get angry at you because there's another guy in there.
Did you have to lock the doors? We had to lock the doors. Yeah, we had to lock customers out a lot because we were in the seedy part of town. Our store got robbed a lot. So it was just kind of like it wasn't it was probably a 3 times a year thing for somebody to come in with a gun and ask for all the money. So
cool. All right.
Yeah. I mean, I felt very safe at my job. I was in I don't know why, but we were at the GameStop that was the one where people would bring in stuff and thought that it was like a pawn shop, right? Like they would be like, here's my VCR. We'd be like, we don't buy VCRs, man.
Yep.
Yeah, we were in that.
There's a lot of like that, like desperation of just take anything you can off of me. I need money.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. I don't know what I guess it's just a lot of people on drugs. I guess people needing money for drugs.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah. You know what? We've got some other questions here that I guess we'll move off of GameStop. I can talk about GameStop
that for like just hours.
I can talk about GameStop forever. Let's see. The first one, the first big one that somebody asked that I thought was interesting is, if you could adapt a story into another medium, what would you adapt and how? That's such a strange question.
Final Fantasy VI opera scene.
Really?
Doesn't even have to be like the whole game. I think just the opera scene alone with like not just the music, like the actual like opera itself, like the whole presentation of it, like the text, the dance scene, like Maria
I've
up on the
got news
balcony.
for you, man. I've got good news for you. I dated a guy. Well, I dated a guy for a very short amount of time, and I almost went to live with him, but he was the composer for a university in Mississippi, in like deep South Mississippi, and that was what he did one year. Was he took the Final Fantasy VI opera scene and he made like a musical out of it. He made like a 30-minute musical scene. I do not know if that's recorded anywhere, but I do know that it just happened. And he could also speak fluent Albed, and that was a huge turn on. I don't know why, but I'd be like, "Ooh, baby, speak that Albed to me."
I've known a lot of different people who've all had like that same kind of concept of that opera scene and like kind of bringing that to life in some form.
Yeah.
But it either never actually happened, or the production of itself never quite hit the dream.
Oh, I'm sure. Like, imagine the money.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I imagine like a Hollywood style, or really at this point, just like freaking HBO Max or Netflix level production.
Really? I imagine like Disney World.
Oh yeah, like an actual live stage performance would be even better.
Yeah, that's what I imagine. I imagine like the Disney World Aladdin thing. And
yeah, that'd be good.
That would be beautiful, man. Imagine the balcony and everything. It could be over the audience, and she could be singing to the audience.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could riff on that for forever. Somebody asked if you could bring a dead game series back, which one would you choose?
I've had several. Picking one's hard. It's my first thought honestly was the Mana series, but it's weird because it's dead, but it's not really dead. They haven't done like a new Mana game in a long time, but they did remake Trials of Mana, and it was really good. And now they're porting Legends of Mana, and that one's also really good. And they also did that Secret of Mana remake, which was not very good. So they're aware of that brand, but they're not like doing much with it.
Do you like Legends?
Yes.
I love Legends, dude. It's like it's a very specific place in
Legends.
my heart.
Legends is very, very good. I wish the like multiplayer co-op was better, because it does the whole thing where like only player one matters.
Yep.
But outside of that, that game is awesome. So
do you think they're gonna fix it? I hope so.
No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think they will.
the art is, so fucking good in the original, and I'm really hoping that it doesn't look like garbage when they end up porting it and they end up fixing the art. I hope they fix some gameplay. I hope they really, really do something with it, because I bought that game for like $400.
Yeah, it seems like they're doing enough changes that maybe they'll do like enough extra polishing on there rather than a straight port, but it's hard to say.
I'm so excited to play that, man. That's going to be one of the biggest things to come out in my life, personally.
If not Mana, another one would actually be the Illusion series, Illusion of Gaia, Illusion of Time, and/or Terranigma, Soul Blazer, like that quintet trilogy.
Yeah.
I realize these are both Square Enix properties, but that says a lot about me as a person.
I'm sure.
Like that whole there's a whole like concept and brilliant thing there that they just aren't really doing anything with, and I feel like they could expand upon forever.
Yeah.
And I would love that.
The Illusion of Gaia series an Illusion of Gaia series, like a brand new one, would be fantastic. You're right.
If you call it like Terranigma 2, people would lose their crap over it, because everyone loves Terranigma. Oh, one more answer. Just an all-new Final Fantasy Tactics.
An all-new Tactics?
Yeah, just not Tactics Advance, not Tactics Advance 2, Tactics Advance 3, just Tactics.
How do you feel about that new Octopath Traveler thing?
Oh, I actually played it, and I was like immediately absorbed in. I was like, yes, this is exactly what I want. Inject it straight into my veins.
Yeah.
It's not like, as much as I like it, it's not like Final Fantasy, you can't create your own characters. You can't like go through different jobs and different classes.
Can you not?
What? All the characters were pretty much pre-made. They all have their own jobs, and who knows if they have any kind of like upgrades or changes or anything like that. I don't know yet. But there's no like character creator for your own thing like with like the War of the Lion story. I think was just so good. And, like,
Yeah.
I want more of that kind of caliber stuff. And instead, they kind of went for less serious, lighthearted stuff with the advanced games.
What do you? I like advanced. I love
I
advanced.
do too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying those are like bad games. It's just a very different tone compared to the original Tactics.
Well, it's also in Evil East, so
yeah,
I really like that world.
Me too.
I'm such a sucker for Evil East. It's so pretty. Yeah, I love all the colors and the different races and everything. I'm sad to hear like I'm glad you got to play it. I'm glad you said it's good. I'm sad to hear that there's not really much customization as far as the game goes.
Yeah.
That was a big thing for me.
But again, it's not coming out till next year, so who knows? Maybe that'll all change, and I could be completely wrong. Part of me hopes I am, but it just doesn't have like that same vibe as this OG Tactics.
Since you mentioned OG Tactics, I have to ask: how do you spell, or not? How do you spell? How do you say Delta?
I say Delita.
Me too. Okay. Everybody else says Delta. Like everybody I know here.
I've never heard Delta, so therefore they must be wrong.
Exactly. Of course.
They say Delita in the PSP version. They say his name. Yeah. There's no longer an argument. They pronounce it Delita.
Okay. Good. I can say I've been right for 30 years, and everybody else can shove it.
Exactly.
Somebody wanted to know if you're ever going to do a Legend of Zelda series for ProJared.
A series? Probably not. I feel like anything I would want to say about The Legend of Zelda, I've already done with Zelda 2. I feel like that's the only one that I actually could provide, like I said before, like a different take or a new perspective, provide something new to the viewer that they haven't seen elsewhere from other videos. Especially, that's another one of those things where, much like Monster Hunter, Peanut Butter Gamer does Zelda Month. He's done so many Zelda videos. I really don't know how much more I could really provide or offer that's different than other things. Outside of one that I always felt was unfairly bashed on, which was Zelda 2, which is why I did the Zelda 2 video.
I gotta agree with you, man. I think Zelda 2 is great. I like Zelda 2.
Oh yeah, like it's completely different than all of the other Zelda games, but like on its own, it's still like a great game.
As a kid, it felt like D&D to me, and that was why I loved it so much.
Yeah, like it had experience points. I was like, holy crap, games can do that?
I know, it was so awesome. That, and you get like you'd go on and meet an NPC and they'd give you the magic, and I was like, oh, it's just like writing a spell in my wizard spell book. Yeah. I was a huge nerd.
And look, to this day, the downstab is just like the coolest fucking thing that you can possibly do in the Zelda game. Let's be real. Like that's just so cool. It's so powerful. Just like, bro, you're done.
Yeah, it's like, even in Smash.
Even in Zelda 2, just so good.
Yeah. I remember when they did what is the name of the arena that plays the Zelda 2 music in Smash? All I remember is
the temple.
Yeah, when the temple first came out, I remember hearing that, and that was like a flood of nostalgia for me. That was like the biggest tears.
When I first played Smash Melee, and I was doing like the adventure mode or whatever, and you start off and there's like the Mario world and you're stomping on Goombas and stuff. You're like, hey, this is fun. And then you get to the Zelda level and it starts playing Zelda 2 music. As a kid, or I guess a teenager at that point, and it starts playing Zelda 2 music, like my jaw dropped. I was just like, they remember Zelda 2?
Yes! Same. Especially since it was side-scrolling and stuff. I don't know. There was something specific about it. I was gonna say something about Smash. Oh yeah, did you like what is it called? The emissary thing? The
Subspace Emissary.
Subspace Emissary. Yeah.
I loved it. I had so much fun with that one.
See, why does everybody hate that?
I don't know. I put it on hard. Me and my buddy played it through all the way on co-op. We used the sticker system to customize. I played Link, he played Ike, and we customized ourselves in such a fun way that we just had like these awesome characters with like, he basically like hit like a dump truck and couldn't get knocked back.
Yeah.
And like, I just had like super powerful projectiles. Like I thought it was super fun. I also really like Kirby Superstar, and it's ostensibly the same game. But I had a lot of fun with that one. I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
I like all of those like adventure modes that came with the Smash games.
Yeah, I played through all of it when with Smash Ultimate. Like I
Oh
did
yeah, you did, didn't
that
you?
Spirits mode. Yeah, it was like the same, but not really. Like I like that kind of like single player adventure stuff.
Same. That was all I did when that came out. I think that was like all I did for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Was like
let's
just
be real.
sit and play that.
At this point, Smash is just fan fiction, so might as well like have a fan fiction story that I can play through.
Absolutely. Like there's no real bad reason. Like there's no reason to not have a single player Smash silly, just throw all these characters in the same thing. I mean, they did this like after the Sephiroth reveal trailer where Sephiroth stabs Mario. I think we've hit peak jumping the shark for Smash. You might as well do anything now.
Yeah.
Anything
goes. Who cares?
Yeah, seriously, just throw Goku in there at this point. I want
to play Sephiroth and have him jump on a Goomba. Fuck
yes, exactly. I want to see some really weird shit. That's what I want out of Smash now. I want really weird stuff. I want them to go for strange things that other people aren't going to think of. I don't, as much as I want, you know what? Let's ask you. Who do you want for Smash?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ? He'd be pretty good.
Yeah, unkillable.
He's just on a cross.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I'll cut that out. Yeah, that probably doesn't fit with the rest of this. I don't know.
Alright, that's a hard one.
Mario, look at my stigmata.
Damn, I don't know. The one thing I've been kind of doing is having zero expectations or hopes for anyone. That way anyone who does show up, I'm like, oh my god, what a cool surprise. I'm excited for this. Instead of being like let down or somehow frustrated that whoever I wanted to show up then didn't.
Are you a Geno guy? I know you like the Mario RPG.
I do like Mario RPG quite a bit, but I don't think Geno is so cool or so good that he needs to be a character.
That's true.
Because
I think everybody just wants him because he had a gun.
I guess. I mean, here's the thing. What everyone needs to realize is that, generally speaking, whatever character shows up or gets added to Smash is there for purpose. And if it's always a guest character from another company, what does Nintendo get out of it?
Yeah, for sure.
So, Joker announced for Smash. Oh my god, mind-blowing. That's awesome. Holy crap. But Nintendo's not just going to promote a different game on different platforms for free. No. What do they get out of it? They got Persona Strikers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is definitely a backdoor business deal type thing going on there. And I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Even when Cloud was announced for Smash 4 on Wii U and 3DS, what did Nintendo get out of it? All the Final Fantasy PS1 games suddenly being available on Nintendo platforms. Like, it's like always done with that purpose. So I also keep that in mind with like any guest characters. Like if they want someone new in there, like Nintendo, like that, there's that stipulation is like, how does this help Nintendo? Even like the new ones with the characters from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Why did they do that? To get people to play and buy Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And
I was just about to say that. You can tell like that and Fire Emblem. Like people
ever since
like,
Marth and Melee, like they realized what Smash does for game sales.
Yeah, it actually helps because it gets small children. Like, and I'm talking like 5-year-olds. It actually introduces these characters to like 5-year-olds who will then buy Fire Emblem games for, the next 10 years.
Exactly.
I honestly, it's a brilliant marketing move.
Nintendo
has always been brilliant.
That said, like, if new character, who cares, whatever. Honestly, I do think what would be one of the best possible additions would be Doom Guy.
Doom Guy would be pretty cool.
I do think Doom Guy could actually work, and like they're putting Doom games on Switch, so it's kind of feasible. Nintendo finally gave up on saying no guns because now like
Snake.
4 people just straight up have guns. Well, Snake doesn't have any guns. That was his whole thing with Brawl. That's why he's got nothing but explosives.
Yeah.
But then they're like Bayonetta, 4 guns. Yeah. Yes. Whatever. Joker, also a gun, and just Sephiroth kills Mario. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Did you laugh at the Sephiroth killing Mario thing the first time you saw it?
Oh god, yeah.
I lost my mind. That was so fucking funny. That was so
That's why I
damn
think
funny.
Doom Guy would work. Like, he's got all these guns. At this point, who cares? And especially with the new games, he's got like a sword and like a blade arm. He can like hook chain around. Just make his final smash pulling out the chainsaw.
Absolutely.
That's all you really need. Like, a chainsaw can be wacky enough and not outright murder.
Did you ever play Melee at any cons or anything?
I've never played Smash competitively. No.
No, me neither.
I would not enjoy that as much. I played like Smash Ultimate online for sure, but I would never want to. I would not enjoy that kind of competition. For Smash.
Do you like competition in games very much at all?
No,
Yeah.
I am a sucker for anything that's co-op or players versus the game itself. The most competitive thing I'll actually do is like competitive Magic the Gathering. That's it. Like, I've chosen that to be my one competitive thing that I actually try hard on.
That's okay. Yeah, I can see that. I'm the same way. It's Magic the Gathering for me and Blaze Blue. And even then I'm like you know, not Blaze Blue specifically, but like dashing 2D anime fighters. And I'm not like competitively good at them at all. I'm just good enough to where I can kind of play them in a competitive environment and hang out. Like, I've never gone to a con and played Skullgirls or anything, but I could probably hang out and play a little bit and not, absolutely get my ass handed to me.
I mean, when it comes to games like that, I also don't like pick whatever the top tier best character is. I just like, this is my favorite guy, I'm going to play them. And they're always just like purely middle of the road.
Same. Yeah. I was one of those guys who really wanted to play Jigglypuff in Smash, and I got a lot of shit for it. I thought she was cute. She's cute. Yeah. She's pink and adorable. Are you going to go back to cons when cons become a thing again?
Oh yeah, I would love to go back to them, especially if there's anyone that would ever get me out as a guest. Like, I would always love to do that because I actually really do like meeting people. I used to do a lot of stage performance stuff, and I really don't have that anymore. But when it's at a convention, I have my own panel and whatever. I just use that as a stage performance.
You mean like theater?
Kind of. Like, I more or less had, for the longest time, I had like my own stand-up set so that anyone who came to my panel, I could like entertain them with something different. Or if there's someone there who doesn't know who I am, they would get something entertaining out of it rather than just like sitting down doing like a Q&A or whatever.
That's fantastic, dude. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I would do that for the longest time. Most of that material is now wholly outdated. But like, that was always my concept. It was like just kind of using that to like at least entertain a crowd and like have that energy.
Did you ever do any actual stand-up?
Nope.
So
I've done improv comedy. Like, I was a professional improv comedian longer than I worked at GameStop.
Really?
And I've done improv comedy shows also at conventions, and those I loved. Like, those are some of the best and most fun things I've ever had.
That's how I got into D&D originally. I was a theater kid, and I did. We were literally leaving, not auditions, rehearsals. We were leaving rehearsals, and one of the guys was like, "Hey, who wants to come over to my house and play Dungeons and Dragons?" And I was like, "That sounds really cool. What's it like?" And they were like, "It's like a play, but it's all at a table and it's all in your head." And I was like, that yes, for me, absolutely. And that was like the beginning of me falling in love with it. And even to this day, I still treat D&D as more of a way to flex. I'm like a permanent DM. I DM constantly. Yep. I don't ever play. I know that feeling. Yeah, and it's because it's all like, it's all just acting for me. It's improv, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But I know you know all about that. You're huge into D&D.
Yes.
Is there any game that you want to play for your channel but you think would be too obscure for your audience or wouldn't fly on Twitch or YouTube?
My first thought was Aerobiz.
No,
but it turns out people
awesome.
really liked watching me play that on Twitch, and I don't know why. If anyone who doesn't know what Aerobiz is, it's a Super Nintendo game where you're just the CEO of an airline, and you just buy planes and set up routes and set ticket sales and see how much money you can make every year and try to defeat the other 3 rival airlines. That's it. It's Airline Tycoon. I love that game. It's one of my favorite Super Nintendo games. I have no idea why I liked it as a kid. Would people want to watch that as a YouTube video? Probably not. Will I make a video anyway someday? Probably.
Yeah. The reason that you probably like that is because it's so akin to a board game.
Yeah, very very similar. Just like that same kind of like tycoon kind of style game. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why, but my immediate thought went to it's kind of like Lords of Waterdeep, but it's not like Lords of
Hmm.
Waterdeep at all.
Or even like simpler terms, be like Airplane Settlers of Catan or Airplane
Yeah.
Monopoly.
Yeah, and I mean that's why people can get into it, man. It's on a level to where people can understand. Nintendo, those older Nintendo SNES games had some sort of charm of being a visual video game board game, you know?
Yeah.
And that's something we're really missing these days outside of like Mario Party.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you get into speaking of like video game board games, did you get into Baldur's Gate when Baldur's
Yep.
Gate came out?
Oh yeah.
Did you really get into it? I can see you really getting into 3.
I did like a full playthrough, full co-op with 3 of my friends immediately with Baldur's Gate 3, and we're like, oh my god, this is so cool. I mean, I loved Divinity Original Sin 2, so this is exactly up my alley, and we had a lot of fun with it. There's some janky parts for sure because it's pretty early access, but I still really really liked it. But I've chosen not to play through it or touch it again until it's like done and it has all its stuff out available for it.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
You know what? I've got to go back because you're saying that you enjoyed Divinity so much. I didn't like Divinity, and the reason I didn't like Divinity is because I felt like it was more like a novel. I don't know. Like there was more reading than game. I felt like, but it might have just been I played the first 3 hours I think at a friend's house.
I mean, Original Sin 2 is so much better than the first one. I don't know if you played the second one or not.
No, I played the first one.
Okay, yeah, just you can skip that. Go to Original Sin 2. Way better.
Is it? Okay.
Oh
well,
yeah, like it's just like Baldur's Gate 3. Like if you're way into Baldur's Gate 3, you'll like Original Sin 2.
Baldur's Gate 3 I still haven't played. I looked at it and I was like, this seems interesting. And I like the concept. It seems like they trimmed stuff down.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the like tactics game and all, like, how much I like Final Fantasy Tactics, that same kind of tactical combat is super prevalent throughout both Baldur's Gate 3 and Original Sin 2.
Yeah.
Like positioning matters, like environment matters. You can do like a lot of combination stuff and like affect your enemies, and it also affect the environment that also affects them. So like there's a lot of like tactical stuff and very interlocking mechanics that way that I really really like.
That sounds amazing. I mean, it's got to be more of a video game for me. The more of video gamey something is, the more I'll like it. Like it, as more as it comes down to fighting games, beat 'em ups, and stuff like that. I'd rather do that than, I don't know, like a visual novel.
Yeah.
I definitely, but I'm definitely still the guy who made a Dwarf Fortress video. I love Dwarf Fortress, so there's got to be some through line there, to where if it's a simulator, apparently I really like it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll put. I think it said in my video. I did the math at some point. I think I put like 300 hours into Dwarf Fortress, like before I ever made the video. Somebody wanted to know, as far as inspiration for being a creator, how you harness the excitement for a project to keep it going, and what previous projects they wanted to know what previous projects that you found the most exciting and challenging.
That's a good question, because a lot of the times it's not excitement that drives the video or that creation process. And
What is it?
It's just what's the word I'm looking for?
Fear. Terror.
No, so a lot of time, like, it really isn't about like striking when you got that motivation, or like when you got this really good idea. Like a lot of times, like, get these videos out, you just have to sit down and do it.
Yeah.
Like, even if that just means getting pen to paper, and if what you're writing isn't even very good, just getting something down on there is way more important than be like, I'm not gonna write right now because the words aren't card coming to me.
So it's
Like,
for you,
you
it's
need-
more that being productive.
Yeah, like you have to like set that time aside to be like, this is a thing I'm going to work on and nothing else. I'm not gonna have a YouTube video playing on the other screen to distract me. Like, I'm not gonna have a Twitch stream going. I'm not gonna think about any other video game or whatever. Like, this is what I'm working on, and that I think is more important than just be like waiting for inspiration.
Do you
Now,
do
that said-
anything else while you're editing?
Oh, all the time. All the time. I'll have like after like I've edited all the audio, like voiceover stuff, where like I don't need to hear how good it sounds or anything like that yet. I'm just working on the visual stuff. I'll have like a Twitch stream up or a YouTube video or whatever. That's also why I, going back to an earlier topic, why I actually stream myself editing sometimes, just to keep myself like on task, because I
Yeah.
can't do or look at anything else when I have a couple hundred people watching me work on stuff. Uh,
I can't do that, man. I can't
yeah,
I can't do anything else while editing. It's all I have to like sit down. I'm not OCD or anything. I just or ADD. Yeah, I'm not ADD. I don't know. I can't focus on that and
yeah,
music. Anything
yeah.
else.
It's a real thing. So
Why is it that editing sucks people in so much? It's like putting you in your
I
own
don't
little
know.
creative world.
I don't get it.
I can
I
edit
don't
for
get
like 6 hours, dude. I
it. Yeah.
can just sit down and edit, and then I'll be like, where the fuck did the time go? The day's over.
So that said, like ones that like were motivation like or inspiration did strike me. Kind of like I talked about earlier was that Chrono Trigger video where like I just played it and I just kind of like just had like these thoughts about it and like these epiphanies. Like I was like, oh my god, like I gotta write this down somewhere so I don't forget about it and then like I want to talk about it. So like that inspiration has absolutely happened before.
Was that was that how it was back when you started making content? Somebody wanted to know that when you started, like, how has it changed since then? What were your big obstacles, and how do they compare to the challenges that you have today?
It's a lot of technical stuff. Because when I first started, my very first video was on Two Worlds for the Xbox 360. And I guess that was the sort of thing where I just kind of felt inspiration, where I just want to talk about the first Two Worlds because they're releasing the second one pretty soon, and the first one was so garbage bad that I want to tell everyone else how bad it was to maybe not get too excited for the second one just in case.
You were working at
But
GameStop at that time, weren't you?
at that point, I was running my own game store.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
I didn't know you ever did that.
yeah. So what the struggle with that was is that again, this was 2010, 2010. I did not have a recorder for HD. So the Two Worlds, all that footage is in standard definition coming out of the Xbox 360. I
Mm.
didn't have a digital camera by any means. I was using an old camera that still used DV tape that was still in just 480p definition, and I had to like record that, and then to transfer the footage over onto the PC, I basically had to use it like a VCR, where it had to re-record itself in real time, all every single like live action bit or voiceover or whatever, all coming off that camera and then onto it. So, and then it was finding a ways of actually getting a good editing program, which basically meant torrenting Adobe Premiere.
Yep.
So like there's a lot of like those were like a lot of the struggles, was just the logistics of it. That was harder than anything else.
What about today? Like, what's the hardest part about doing it today?
The hardest part about doing it today is doing something that people would actually watch because of how much YouTube has changed. The way
Yeah.
they've changed the algorithms, the way they change how people even see your content, or even like your own damn subscribers like may not even see anything you put out because YouTube has just deemed yourself no longer worthy.
It's true.
That's the hardest part, because it used to be I could just like make a video about anything I want and people would see it and maybe they would generally enjoy it, and that was great. These days I there's that struggle of I need to play or talk about or show not what I want to talk about, but whatever YouTube demands I should talk about. And that sucks. And for the most part, I've just kind of chosen to work against that and just keep doing videos about stuff that I personally want to talk about, which honestly to the detriment of my own channel.
Has your channel been going down recently?
Oh yeah, quite a bit.
Really?
Oh
I
yeah, it's a struggle all around. It's not just me. I mean, I've got a lot of other YouTuber friends, and we all talk about it a lot. It's still down across the board for a lot of people. Not everyone, but it's certainly none of us like perform or do as well as we used to, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, at least you aren't doing animations, I suppose, but
Yeah.
it definitely could get worse. The what was I was gonna ask about something specific. Oh yeah, you know, you talking about like using DV tapes and stuff like that to like make your YouTube videos. You know, obviously I'm around the same age as you, so I remember all of that as well. And I remember torrenting Adobe Premiere and all that mess. Imagine like children hearing that today, or like our children's children hearing that. They're gonna be completely they're gonna think we were fucking cavemen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
They're not gonna know.
Yeah,
it's like this. It's the equivalent of showing a kid a freaking Game Boy and be like, "This is how I used to play games," and then you turn it on for them, and they start tapping the screen.
Yeah, and they're like, "What the fuck is? Where's the backlight?" Oh man, remember like, that little extension backlight that or the front light they had, the little blue one? I think it came in blue and green.
Oh yeah,
the one that you had to plug into the GameCube, Game Boy. I fucking hated that thing, man. Fucking hated those things. You should do a video on those. All of the all of those Game Boy editions that they made back when Game Boy was a thing. Like
I had a concept that's kind of similar.
Yeah.
Where it was just a video just called Controllers for Player 2.
Oh yeah.
Where it's just all like the old shit ass third party garbage fucking Mad Cats whatever that was just like on every single console. It's like I'm using like the real first party controller. You can use this one. And it's like the rubber's missing off the analog stick, or like the cable is just like sticking out.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. You could just add that. You could even add the Game Boy thing on to that, just as like a small 15-second bit, and be like, "Hell, Game Boys used to look like this" or something. Yeah. I remember my Game Boy when I was a child, when I had all the stuff that my parents had bought me to put on it. It was like the size of my arm by the time I was done.
They like put a transformer.
It was like a transformer. It had like a magnifying glass and everything, so I could see it better.
Yeah, one of my like kids at school had the magnifying glass while like they're playing Pokemon. I was like, "Whoa, that's so cool! You can read the text so clearly."
Yeah, what a fucking our children's children are going to think that we were literally cavemen. That's literally they're going to literally think that. Let me see. As an aspiring streamer and video maker, I'd be interested to know some of the more business side of Jared's stuff. I know some of that can be hard to answer with concrete numbers, but I often wonder things like, does he make enough money to live, or might he have to quit someday to get a job to make ends meet? And where do you make or break lines?
I don't want to go into too much nitty-gritty details, because a lot of it's frankly uninteresting and boring, like, oh, LLC and taxes and bleh, or whatever.
Remember to file it quarterly, man.
Yeah, like I don't want to talk about any of that. So that said, YouTube/Twitch has been my full-time job since 2012. Like that's all I do. That's all I do, and it is enough to live. I guess comfortably, with an asterisk.
Yeah.
That is my full-time job, and like I do okay with that. That said, something that's always in the back of my mind and I think about a lot and kind of fear sometimes is that at some point I will no longer be cool or be too old to do anything on the internet, and it'll just like dissipate or stop. That's like a fear I have. Is that like at some point like it will just kind of dry up and like it will no longer be enough to support me or where I'm living or anything like that, and I'll need to move on or do other things. And I really don't have a solution for that right now, which is fine because that's a problem for future Jared.
No, you gotta think of those things.
But yeah, this is something again, me and other YouTubers, we talk about it a lot. Is that right now there's no light at the end of the tunnel. We just got to keep trucking forward and like kind of hoping for the best.
Hell, I guess for me, since I know a lot of people that already know me and listen to my channel and subscribe to my channel are gonna know this. I guess my numbers, I make about $20 a month off of YouTube. That's all.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's all I make. So, this is just a passion project for me. I just like doing this. So I hope that it's not the same way with you. I mean, not the passion project part, but I hope that you're at least making, ends meet. And if nothing else, I hope that Twitch is really, making up for what YouTube can't.
And it kind of is, and that's pretty much why I've been kind of splitting my time between Twitch and YouTube, because YouTube started slacking so hard that Twitch has kind of been picking that up.
You know Barry Kramer, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, me and Barry talk a good bit, and Barry was saying that Twitch is completely what he makes his money off of now, because YouTube doesn't support him at all. He's completely doing Twitch now.
I mean, for the most, I just like got all my tax information and all of that, and for the last year, I actually ended up getting more income off of Twitch than I did YouTube, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not even surprised. One of these days, I think somebody's going to pick up the slack of be the next YouTube. I think is really what it's going to be. And I hope that that's the case. I don't know that that's the case, but I hope so.
Me too. In the same way that Netflix used to be the only streaming app, now there's hundreds of them.
Yeah.
I would hope that somehow YouTube can do that too. Hope.
Well, we've only got one question left, Jared. You wanna talk about the elephant in the room?
Sure.
All right. The June 2019 incident. I guess it was May and June. That you went through. You got in everybody's crosshairs over fucking nothing, and that was that must have been quite a time for you. Can we talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah. Not super sure what to say on it or where to start.
Well, I'm sure most people know, but I guess we'll just let's start with how would you describe what happened?
Most distilled I could possibly do is that, long story short, I had a bad breakup.
Yeah.
I had a bad breakup from a relationship that I was trying to get out of for a long time. Like a long time. And it for whatever reason was chosen to make it public, to make it worse, and to hurt me, more or less. And at the same time, I was then falsely accused of a lot of other things on top of that to just dogpile and make it worse and worse and worse.
Was that all choreographed, or did it just all happen to happen?
I can't comment on that.
Okay. I mean, if you don't want me to put something in this segment, I completely understand.
No, it's more that I can't confirm or deny that because I don't know for sure. There's a lot of evidence suggesting either way, to be honest, but I don't know for sure.
How long were you in that relationship and wanting to be out of it? I've been there myself. I completely understand. That's a horrible feeling.
I got married in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't start realizing how I didn't really start it started getting bad just a couple of years after that, but it wasn't really something that I was consciously aware of or could really see because I was in the middle of the situation. And I am thankful that I had many people close to me and many friends kind of talk to me privately, be like, hey, we are concerned for you for these reasons. And the natural response to that is, what are you talking about? You're wrong. You're crazy. Like, no, absolutely not. No. Stop it. No. How dare you?
Yeah.
But the thing is, they were right. And when it's hard to get out of a relationship like that when you are when you're the caretaker so hard that it wasn't. I mean, I know the thing is, when people say is if the relationship is bad or if it's abusive or whatever, just leave, just get out. And I wish it was as simple as that, but it never is, because I was in a situation of where I was like the only person really working or making any kind of income or doing anything. So I just had this constant thought process of, well, if I leave, how are they going to eat? How are they going to live? How are they going to survive? How will I know they will be okay? We only have one car. If I leave, like, and I just take the car, well, then they can't get anywhere. Like, that's hard for them. Like, I can't just abandon this person because I'm already here taking care of them. And if I'm not taking care of them, then like they're in trouble, and I can't just leave that.
I've been the exact same spot, man. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. So even like being in that situation, and have you ever tried to break up with someone and have them say no?
Yes, I have.
That's the situation I was in.
Yeah. Would you call that situation? Would you call that relationship that you had abusive? Now that you're out of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've been getting a lot of help for. In spring 2018, I think I even said something on Twitter where I even just said, hey everyone, I'm like going away for a week. I'm getting off the internet, I'm going away from my phone, I'm not gonna have access to anyone or anything. I'm just gonna go away for a mental health break.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just a mental health break, I was actually going to a therapy retreat to just go and like work on this stuff. Because I was more or less convinced that I was the problem and like I was causing all these horrible things. So I said like, okay, I'm going to go work on these things, and I went to this therapy retreat, and I'm super glad I did. Like that was one of the most beneficial things I had ever done in my entire life. I learned a lot about myself. It helped me grow as a person, and it gave me a lot of tools and techniques that I still use to this day.
Okay, as somebody who's been to a therapy retreat, and for me as someone who's worked at a therapy retreat, I want to urge anybody who's listening to this that if you think that you might need therapy retreats are fantastic for you. And I think Jared would agree. They can insanely help you deal with your life, and it's something you should really look into. Okay.
I think in general, like, it's helpful for anyone. Like, even if you're like, I'm actually doing all right, I don't have any major problems. Like, you'd be surprised, like, how much better you can feel if you just talk about whatever even small grievances you have. It doesn't have to be like a full-on retreat. Even just seeing a therapist 2, 3, 4 times a month or whatever can do wonders.
So you found out that you were a what's the word? You were allowing this. You were basically allowing this relationship to happen because you were convinced that you were the problem.
Yeah, that's one of the things that therapy retreat helped me work on was setting boundaries.
Yeah.
And that was something like I was not doing because I was in a situation where it was too bad or too scary to say no.
Yeah, I've been there,
or to
man.
do something that they don't want or they don't like.
Yeah.
And after doing that retreat and kind of realizing like how unhealthy or rough or bad that is for me, and trying to start actually like kind of standing up for myself or trying to set that boundary that was not respected, things just got worse and worse and worse and worse.
From an outside perspective, it seems like what ended up happening was you not only did you grow apart, but it seems like you two decided to grow apart, like purposefully.
Yeah, I guess that's fair to say. But it was more that it was like grow apart, but also have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Like grow apart, but still live here, still live together, still pay for trips to do things together, still provide, still caretake.
Obviously, the big concern for a lot of people was they thought that, I suppose that they didn't think that you were in a poly relationship, and from my understanding of what happened, you had an agreement.
Yeah, and for the record, like, it was supposed to be an open relationship or a polyamorous relationship, even though I don't think polyamorous is a proper descriptor for it.
What
But
would you
this
call
was, I think open was probably more accurate, where
it?
this concept or idea was presented to me of just, hey, I'm very interested in this other person and they're very supportive and I like this person a lot. You know, how would you feel about this? And again, me trying to be the supportive person and like, I don't want to deny you anything that you want. Like, that's not right. Like if that makes you happy, like that's something that I want you to have. And that was
You had an enabler's mentality, man.
more or less, yeah.
Yeah.
And at the time, like I still think I was okay with it, and like I still think it probably was very helpful and beneficial for them. So like I don't, even though it ended up causing strain on our relationship.
So from an outside perspective, yet again, I suppose what everybody saw was nobody was under the impression that she was in a physical relationship with anyone else, but you obviously got put on blast on Twitter for being the only one, and everybody was under the impression that you had broken the boundaries, you had passed these boundaries that were set, and you're saying that was probably just to hurt you. That wasn't true. It was just that it was more.
It was a obfuscation of the truth done in an intentional way so that I look as bad as possible, and all the sympathy is directed to them, and I get none. If that makes sense.
I understand.
And that, you know, kind of, this is what happened to me. Feel sorry for me. Give me this validation.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's frankly not true. Like, my partner had numerous extramarital, extra relationship instances, like since we started dating.
Yeah.
And we were together for a long time. Like I was aware of a lot of them, and like again, even though there were times it was incredibly hurtful, I was trying to be supportive and helpful, and not deny anything that they were desiring or wanting or like if it's something that I personally could not provide but they needed, then it's something that they should be able to get for themselves somehow in some way.
One, that's very sweet of you. Two, you just implied that there were several times in which you weren't aware of it. Is that the case?
Yes and no. I mean, like, there were times where I would literally be like hanging out with a friend of ours in the other room, and like his girlfriend would be like hanging out with them or whatever, and we would be playing like Final Fantasy Tactics or something, probably, and getting drunk. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But then like we would like look for them later, and I'm gonna cut off this line of thinking because I really don't feel like I need to go into details about.
Yeah, you
like
definitely don't, man. You definitely don't.
I'll just say that there were times where like I wasn't given like forward notice or forward advance or like had my feelings considered. Is the best way to say it. There were numerous times where my feelings were not considered.
I completely understand. I've been in that exact same situation before, so you're not alone in that. And one, I want you to know that I hear you and I feel for you, man. And for instance, I had a very similar situation, and when I confronted it, the girl that I was with threatened to kill herself with a knife on the balcony outside in the apartment. Yeah, and I had to physically intervene in the situation and save her from herself, though I'm sure now looking back on it she wouldn't have done anything. But I completely understand, man. I have been there.
And I've had to deal with the same thing where that control technique was used upon me, and then I would have to drive to the hospital to make sure they're okay, or talk to my therapist or their therapist and have them both telling me the same thing, and it was all just like a lot of very upsetting things.
Yeah, I can't imagine the emotional toll that that must have had on you.
Yeah.
I can only guess that, and I'm going to move on to another one of the topics that was brought up at that time was you had a blog where it was a very sex positive,
Yeah.
physically open blog, and I can only imagine that you probably did that emotionally to help you through the situation that you had been put in. That was
Yeah.
probably very calming for you.
So that was actually something that I also learned about when I went and did that therapy retreat. Was it became the sort of the, the the vice for any kind of like self affirmation or validation or just feeling like someone actually liked me and didn't just make me feel bad all the time. In the same way that someone would just drink a lot
Yeah.
or turn to drugs or turn to gambling or violence or anything like that. Like that, and it ended up being a sort of emotional crutch because I didn't know how else to make myself feel better
Validated.
or like or validated. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say that you went overboard with that?
Um, I do think it's completely unhealthy. Yes, I mean I do as a individual personally try to be very like sex positive and open and
Yeah.
all of that because I do think I don't like the amount of stigma there is out there.
Same.
But I do think it was extremely unhealthy of me, and like that's not okay.
You put that video out, man, where you started crying and apologizing for if you did anything wrong to your audience in your audience's eyes, and that you had disappointed everybody. And I immediately knew that that place you were in. I was like, that I've been there. I've been in that situation where you have to apologize for something that you were just doing to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
And I saw that. I could see that in your eyes. I could see that in the way you were talking. That was all that was. I'm glad that you're more of a sex positive individual. On a more personal note, I've always found that to be very charming. The downside of all of this obviously was that the things that you had done in private with other adults was given to the major public, and there's obviously the infamous picture that was put around the internet at the time that I think was probably what got everybody's attention the most. And how have you dealt with that and coped with that since then? Because that's got to be a huge breach of privacy.
It is, and a large part of me has not coped with it.
Really?
It's trauma.
Of course.
There's like no other way to describe it. Like it was a traumatic experience, and it's something that like I still struggle with. I mean, it's just to me, if I were to look at that as just like any other person, like that's just like a Jared I don't know. To me, it's not okay for anyone to use that to poke fun or bully or belittle or shame or.
And that's what it was.
That's all it was, because
That's exactly what it was.
a lot of people weren't able to get or see the context or know what's going on, or they just saw this as a bad thing, and that clearly I did that to hurt someone, and that's absolutely not the case. It was something like they're always aware of. There's something they're always supported, and all of that was just people just trying to be mean for the sake of being mean, and that's just Twitter these days.
Well, it's also just the internet in general.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's an entirely separate conversation. Otherwise, we'll go on that for hours. But it's
Yeah,
just
I'm sure.
It's just all people want to do is feel like they're punching up because they feel they have so little of their own value or things they got going on for themselves or working on things for themselves, that rather than like doing that, they'll feel the only way they can get that kind of power is by tearing down someone else.
you mentioned that you had grown a beard for the purpose, like the extent purpose, that's not the right word, but for the specific purpose of feeling like somebody else, looking like somebody else, not being yourself. Have you coped with that feeling yet and realized that that's not, that's not healthy?
I mean, I've grown a beard because I kind of want to change up the look a little bit for myself. I also, low-key, just had some, like, weird, like, skin conditions developing around, like, my upper lip and nose that was causing, like, a lot of redness, and it was just looking bad on videos. So
that's a lot better of a reason.
Yeah, I was growing a beard to kind of help that cover that up. But then, yeah, there's also that part of me that, maybe people would see that as, like, oh, like, this is, like, an evolution or, like, a changed person.
Yeah.
And, like, not the same as, like, whoever that poor soul who was clearly in a lot of pain and doing a lot of painful things to themselves.
Yeah.
And, like, wasn't that guy.
I hope at that point then you can find a lot of at least some comedic value in the punished Jared jokes.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, that's probably the coolest thing that came out of this. Honestly, you got compared to Solid Snake. Well, yeah. Not Solid Snake, Naked Snake. You got compared to one of the coolest video game characters of all time.
True.
Are you still doing anything for that trauma and dealing with that trauma or anything like that?
Pretty much every day.
What can I ask?
It's a lot of. I still do therapy. I still talk to a lot of people. It's like still something I kind of personally work on and do a lot of introspection on. I have numerous journals that I write down whatever thoughts on.
That's wonderful, man.
Yeah, it's still like a lot of. Yeah, it's like a lot of like just kind of personal things or personal growth or kind of reevaluating and refocusing what's important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And if nothing else, like I will say I was able to very quickly learn like who my real friends were.
I'm
like,
sure.
Even people who were like angry or upset or whatever, but like were still supportive.
Austin.
Versus a lot. Yeah,
Austin had your fucking back, dude.
Well, again, like I said, like there were numerous people and numerous friends who could see what was going on and was aware of it, but they like there's only so much that they could do
of
for
course
me at the time. Like there are a lot of people like that. And I also very quickly learned just how many other people I thought were friends who were just more or less saw me as an opportunity or a stepping stone or networking or connections.
You know it. I mean, you're in the business for it, man. That's exactly the type of people you're going to run into.
Yeah, and it's that it was that Los Angeles Hollywood mentality that is so prevalent in YouTube because a lot of people just use that as like a springboard to get into Hollywood. And like I lived in Los Angeles for 2 years, and I look back on that and I despise like the kind of people I ran into all the time. Like even at the time, like I would see them at parties or get-togethers at whatever, and like I could see them like what they're doing and what they're working on, like how they're wrapping their fingers around certain things or certain people. Like it was the most bizarre thing to see.
Well, it's not a charming. It's not a very charming look, is it?
No.
When
you see it and recognize it, you're like, holy shit, this is how some people actually are.
Yeah, I mean, there are several places where people are actually real people. Very charming, individual, personable people.
Yeah.
Los Angeles is not one of those places, man.
Yeah.
Granted, just not.
Like, there's a few exceptions to that rule. Like, I do know some people who live in LA who are absolutely wonderful human beings.
Absolutely. It's not an end all be all.
Yeah, it's like a vast minority compared to a lot of the other people that I unfortunately knew / met there.
Well, I only have one more question about the specific scenario of what happened to you, and obviously, I can cut this out. You can just choose not to answer because it doesn't entirely have all to do with you alone. But there is a huge majority of individuals who look at that situation that you were in and then say, poor Ross, like that. he was hurt by all of this, or he was unaware, or anything like that. And of course, I take everything with a grain of salt. I do interviews, I talk to all sorts of different types of people, and I try to get perspective on things before I make any judgments. But that has definitely been on my mind of if your relationship that you had that even caused all of this has continued, was that something that was on your mind ever, that there was somebody else just like you on the other side of the fence?
I think it should be very, very clear and stated that Ross was very well aware of everything and supportive of everything.
That's wonderful. I think you're right.
I think it was wonderful at the time. And there was a time where, one of the numerous times where I more or less had to run away from home.
Yeah.
He had actually flown up to Seattle to see me, to like actually help and like talk me through things and like help me through a lot of what I was going through.
And when he came up to see you in Seattle, did he stay there for quite a while?
He was there for a few days, yeah.
And did you guys like, did he take you out to make you feel better and stuff? Did you guys go get drinks?
Yes, we went and hung out at his hotel for one evening, and we were trying to talk through things. Like, I brought my one of my journals with me to just talk about different things. There's another night where we just got dinner with another friend of mine who was also painfully aware of the situation in a much more closer way.
So how did, after all of that happened, and after all of that blew over, so to say, what did it take for you to get back into work and doing what you were doing?
That was hard. That was the hardest part. The hardest part was just putting myself out there again. And that gets still difficult. I would have done it much sooner, but I was like just in the middle of a shitstorm. Like, I was trying to move out of a house. Like, I was trying to split assets. I was trying to like get things figured out. So like one of the main complaints I remember about my resurgence video was people saying like, "Oh, why did it take him so long to do this?" It's because I was literally trying to find somewhere to live still and figure that out. Give me
I always assumed it was you were talking to lawyers. No offense.
Yeah, there was also a lot of that too.
Yeah, I definitely would have been doing that.
Yeah, so a lot of it was just like, it's, you know, like you fall off the horse, you just pick yourself up and get back on. But like the emotional toil it takes just to do that, it's still difficult. And like, that's why even now I feel like my video production quality / quantity isn't where it's supposed to be, because I'm still struggling with it. Like, I'm still just saying like, hey, I'm still here. I hope it's still okay to like watch my videos or like who I am.
You're still dealing with that trauma, man.
Absolutely, because people still continue to try to shame or bully either myself or supporters into silence all the time.
Would you say that you're happy?
Yes.
Yes.
Right now I feel great.
That's like, wonderful to hear, man.
This is the happiest I have been in like a half decade.
That's what I wanted to hear. There you go, man. Yeah. That was exactly what I wanted to hear. I wanted to know, and I think everybody else would want to know, that you're better. That even for all of what you went through and all the hardships you had, you're better for it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you'd see that way. Well, man, thanks for coming on. I mean, we just kind of, this is really our first time ever talking face to face. I guess over Discord. Right. Well, I'm glad that you were so open about things, and that you were so happy to answer the community's questions. Thanks for coming and doing all this, man.
Yeah, I'd love to do it. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd love to do it some other time if you'd like to be on with Barry or something, and we could just do an episode where all of us gather together and talk about stuff. Well, thanks for doing all this. Thanks for listening, you guys. This has been I'll Discuss Anything. I'm Patrick. This has been Pro Jared. Jared, do you have anything you want to put in or plug? Twitch.
Subscribe.
Say your Twitch.
Twitch.tv/ProJared.
There you go.
YouTube.com/ProJared. Twitter.com/ProJared. Instagram.com/ProJaredGraham.
Ooh, fancy. All right.
Someone else already took the name.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for coming by. I'm going to stop the recording now.